Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video. I'm going to be talking about a newly shown Hot Toys figure. This time it is the Justice League Aquaman figure. So quite exciting to see the Aquaman figure. Obviously, one of the new main members of the Justice League movie that we don't have a figure from yet, which is quite exciting. So I kind of have some serious mixed feelings about this one. It's quite a strange release for me personally, but I'll talk about my personal opinions on what I plan to do with not only this Justice League figure, but the Justice League figures in general. But talking about the actual figure first here, I do think that it looks pretty good. As far as the head sculpt's concerned, I do like the serious sculpt of it. He looks quite intense, which I do like. And I do see Jason Momoa in there. I do think that it is definitely present. I like the eyes a lot. I think the eyes look quite realistic and very cool. As far as the facial hair and just the hair in general, I think it looks alright. Usually I'm a fan of sculpting the hair instead of doing the rooted hair, but for this one I feel like it kind of lets the sculpt down a bit. I think that the hair on the side, not the facial hair but just his regular hair, I think that should be rooted, to be honest, because it kind of puffs up a bit too much towards the bottom, I think, in my opinion, for the sculpt that they have here. It's also going to reduce the articulation quite heavily. You're going to have kind of like a Thor deal here, where if you move the head, you're going to kind of bend the hair, and if you leave them in a position like that for a long time, the hair is just kind of going to stay that way, which is unfortunate. The beard itself looks pretty good. I think that they could do a little bit better job making it look more natural towards the bottom. I think that it kind of does get very plasticky towards the bottom. As far as it kind of melding to the face, I think that looks pretty natural though. But again, you know, the face sculpt is alright. I think that it's not great. I don't think it's perfect, but I don't think it's bad. It's certainly just kind of one of those face sculpts that's in the middle. It can pass as good, essentially. As far as the costume is concerned, I really like the costume. I think that there's some great detailing there, obviously. Tons of different texturings going on. I like the color of it. The kind of green and gold melding together, I think looks really excellent. It's a little hard to tell what kind of cloth or rubber or plastic they're using in the costume. It's hard to tell what it all is. It could be something similar to the Superman suit, that kind of rubberish type of look, but it doesn't quite look like that to me. It looks a little harder. It looks more like a solid rubber than Superman's kind of softer one that's more pliable. So you know, I would say it's a little bit more of just kind of a straight up rubber, just based on all the detailing and the texture. The only place where it kind of looks like Superman's suit is in his thighs. So it'll be interesting to see what his articulation is going to be like. That's my biggest concern about this figure. I think the articulation is going to be pretty poor, because even if it does have the Superman styled suit, Superman suits does allow for great articulation. However, it seriously damages the suit whenever you articulate them. If you bend something, it leaves creases in there terribly. They don't come out. It's very annoying, which is why I barely do anything with my Superman or Vision figure. Vision, because the first suit that I got of it was damaged, Sideshow sent me a replacement, so I still display him with the damaged suit, therefore I can like pose it and not have to worry. So that's kind of nice, but you know, obviously if I only have one copy, it's annoying. I wouldn't be able to pose it freely, which is definitely what I think is going to happen here, because either I think it's going to be a harder rubber and therefore you're just not going to be able to move it, or it's going to be the softer rubber, which is pliable, but if you move it, it damages the suit, so you're not going to want to move it. So I don't really see a win here. This is the most articulated pose that they have, which I'll bring up. Let's see. Here we go. So this is the most articulated pose that they have him in out of any of these pictures, and this isn't very dynamic. I mean, Hot Toys usually really pushes it as far as their dynamic pose goes with these images. You know, there's a lot of times that they put figures in poses that you really couldn't achieve when you actually get the figure, or if you did, you'd be heavily damaging the figure. So they really like push it to the extreme, and this isn't even very extreme. So that's what really worries me. I think that the articulation is going to be extremely poor on him. And you know, even if it's decent in some areas, I think that you're going to have a terrible terribly damaging the suit. I think that as far as the neck's concerned, you're going to have extreme hindrance as far as just turning it. You'll be able to do a little bit side to side. I think the shoulders are going to be almost non-existent. The elbows, I think that that's a pretty strong bend actually for that. I would think that you'll get something more like this, like a comfortable small bend like that. The torso, I doubt you're going to get any range in. I think that the torso is fixed. I don't see his torso moved in the slightest on any of these pictures, so I really don't see any articulation there. The thighs are the tricky one. Not quite sure what their range is going to be like. You know, it looks like you can go up not quite 90 degrees in this picture, but realistically and comfortably, I think you're probably going to have to do a little less. The knees might get a decent bend like this, and then the ankle should have good articulation. That's going to be my, that's my guess as to how this thing is going to articulate and what it's going to be like. As far as what you get with the actual figure, you don't get a ton, but you get, you know, the essentials. You get his trident, of course. The trident looks very cool. I like it a lot. I like the silver. I think that it looks great. You get a mother box, which is the one that's being kept on Atlantis, so I do like that. That's kind of a neat accessory. Although if you don't have like all three mother boxes, it's kind of pointless, but still, it is cool. He comes with a pair of fists, pair of hands for holding the trident, and then pair of relaxed palms. I think that you're certainly missing like kind of saluting hands. Those are good hands for like swimming poses, which he doesn't come with, which I think is just really odd. Why wouldn't you give him something to really represent like being in water? That's like a big deal of the character, so that's weird. And then his base, I'm a big fan of the Justice League bases. I think that they look excellent. This has gone on pre-order, and it is for $235, which I think it's a fair price. I mean, it's comparable to Hot Toys' other latest releases, so I don't see any issue with that price. As far as when it's coming out between October and December of 2018, which is quite far. That's more than a year in advance, which is definitely a shame. You know, a lot of times Hot Toys figures come out, you know, like a year from when they were put on pre-order, but usually that's because it's been delayed a few times. With this one, just the pre-order date itself is more than a year out. It's a year and a month, so assuming that this will get delayed, which, you know, just about every Hot Toy does, you know, you're going to look at getting this figure in 2019, unfortunately, which I think is pretty crazy. You know, the Aquaman movie, I think it does come out in December, doesn't it? I might be wrong on that, but I think it comes out in December of 18, so this might be a nice release for that film, but it is a shame as far as how long you have to wait to actually get it. Now, what I plan to do, I'm a little confused. I don't quite know what to do. I have Batman and I have Superman. Those are my two Justice League figures that I have, and as far as what to do about Aquaman and the rest of the Justice League, I'm really dumbfounded. I would love a Wonder Woman figure, but I don't like all the rubber on her. I would even buy a Wonder Woman figure that they released from her own movie, which comes with the black coat. They've shown that figure already, and they just haven't put out on pre-order. And since, you know, the movie's been out for so long and Justice League is around the corner, I doubt that they're going to put on pre-order. However, if they did put that one on pre-order, I'd buy it, because then if the rubber was damaged at any point, I could just cover it up with the coat. So it's unfortunate that they're not putting that one on pre-order though, because I would have totally settled for that. Now I don't know what to do, because I don't want a Wonder Woman figure whose rubber is going to get damaged and going to look awful. So I don't plan to get Wonder Woman until they make one with an articulated body, like a visible joints articulated body, or they do, or they finally put that one with the coat on pre-order. And then as far as Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg, they all look quite cool. I think that Aquaman and Flash are going to not be super fun, because I don't think their suits are going to be very, very posable, or if you pose them, I think that they're going to kind of damage themselves. However, they're the two characters that I'd want the most. And then Cyborg is not a character that I'm particularly excited about. However, I think that he has the best looking figure. I think the Hot Toys figure looks excellent, and he obviously isn't wearing any clothes. It's a plastic figure, so his articulation is going to be top notch. So it kind of leaves me in a funny position where there isn't a single like new release coming out from Justice League that I'm perfectly happy with. I have problems and reservations about every single one, and without the possibility of getting a Wonder Woman figure at this point, I can't really complete the team. So I am thinking that I might. There's a chance that I would completely skip the Justice League toy line completely. I might not get any of them. I might get them all. As far as the ones I don't have, I might get all of those. I'm not sure, but at the moment, I am leaning towards just kind of letting the Justice League film go past me, and then picking up them individually, probably from their individual films, when I finally feel like the perfect version of that character is being released. I'm thinking that I might do that, but I think that I'm not super into DC right now. I mean, I'm into kind of Transformers and Marvel at the moment, so I'm sure when the movie comes out and my anticipation is at peak, I might decide to go ahead and get a bunch. So we'll have to see, but let me know what you guys think of this Aquaman, and thanks so much for watching.